All right, YouTube, so we are here in the Airbnb and we are going to assemble a SÖDERHAMN couch from IKEA. We do have some varying part numbers here, which I will put down in the description, but essentially what we have are two corner pieces here, two middle pieces, and then what looks like to be some pillows and or coverings to go on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build one of each and walk you guys step by step on how to assemble those pieces together, and then I'll assemble the other two pieces real quick. I'll get that on video as well so you guys can see the process once again to kind of reinforce what I was doing there and make sure you guys are ready to assemble this furniture. So let's go. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I have a razor here and I'm going to go ahead and start unboxing this. What I've done is I've laid out a moving blanket here so I have something to lay down on the floor so I don't scratch the floor and I don't scratch any of the furniture. So here we have our hardware package and our instructions. I'm just going to set those aside for the moment. So that there was basically everything we have in the packaging. It looks like we have the seat, two of the backs that are going to butt up against the seat, and some cushions and a bit of hardware with the instructions. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get your instructions out and verify that you have all the proper hardware that you're going to need to assemble this. Make sure that you have the type of parts and the number of parts specified in the instruction manual. So here we have the legs. It says we should have 4 of those. We do. We have 4 of these hooked shaped brackets. The instructions say we should have 4 of those, so we are good. We have 1 of these L-shaped brackets and 1 of these. So again, let's check our instructions. And yes, we should have 1 of each of those. So we should have 4 of the longer and 4 of the shorter of these studs, which we do. 4 of the hex bolts, 12 of the hex nuts, 16 washers, 2 of each, the longer and shorter bolts here that have the Allen bolt head on them, 2 of the wing nut bolts, and then we've got this little wrench looking tool here, of which we should have 1. So we've got our parts list here, we're ready to roll, guys. So the first step according to the instruction manual, guys, is grab those 2 little wing nut bolts that were in your parts package. Swing this little bar outward so that the bow would be facing downward when the furniture is on the ground. This is going to be the bottom of the furniture. And then you want to insert these wing nuts to hold that bar in position. Just go ahead and put those in there finger tight. The next step, according to the instructions, is to install the feet on the bottom. Very easy. Just turn these clockwise and they will thread right in. You just want to snug these down hand tight. So after installing the feet, it looks like you're supposed to start unpackaging some of the coverings and cushions that are going to go on the couch. I'm not sure exactly what all these hieroglyphics are supposed to mean just by looking at the pictures and looking at what's in the packaging over there yet. It looks like you're supposed to take something out of here, iron part of it, but not another part. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and unpackage those things over there and see if I can figure out what this stuff means. If you're going to use your knife for this, make sure you be careful not to cut anything. Okay, so what we have in here is 2 pillows. I'm going to set those to the side for now. Looks like another cushion, so I'm going to set that there. Okay, so these are all cushions, it looks like. So I think this is where I'm going to break into the smaller packaging that I had, because those are probably going to be the covers that go over everything. This is going to be the coverings for the cushions. I'm going to go ahead and package that. This looks like the cover for the larger cover here. Set this out of the way for a moment. This looks like the cover that's going to go over this. And this has a little emblem on it that says "Do not iron," even though that looks like it probably should be ironed. Let's see what else we have. Got a cushion for there. This looks like it goes over the backing for the other cushion. There we go. Those are the ones for the backings and the cushion. So it looks like we've got coverings for all of our cushions here. So it looks like what we've got here is this part that covers this is going to zip to this. This has a little zipper on it. You're going to put this foam piece inside of here and then zip it to that. And it looks like you can iron any of these pieces here, because if you check the tag, it says that you can iron it. Like the iron is not crossed out, but this piece here, the iron is crossed out. So this seems more like a plasticky piece. If you iron that, it's probably going to melt that plastic. So if you want to iron these and get these straightened out so they don't have this crease in them, you can do that. But don't iron the piece that's going to fit onto this. And you can tell what that is because it has a bit of Velcro here and a zipper around the edge right there, where the material is kind of a different material. And the inner piece is going to feel kind of plastic-like. So do not iron that. But if you want to iron everything else and get it nice and straight, you can do that. Okay, so I've got my wife ironing these to try to get the wrinkles out. So I'm going to start putting them on the furniture. So you see you've got one here. You see you have one here that has a pocket in it. That's going to be the one that goes with these side pieces. So you're going to pick up your side piece and slide it into your cover. Just want to have it to where it's going to Velcro here on the edge. And you want to center it in the piece as well, which I do not have. That's going to be a little tricky, isn't it? So definitely what you want to do is make sure this is all laying flat on both sides. Okay, so I just want to show you what's happening here. I put this cover on and saw that it had excess material, and then I'm trying to put this cover on and I'm stretching it on and then realize one is longer than the other one. So let's see what the differences are between these two, if it gives something away, some sort of part number or something. And I don't really see too many identifying factors here, except one is longer than the other. So if you feel like you're stretching one of these on and or the other one is really loose with fabric, try switching these around because you probably have them on the wrong piece, like I do. This piece, you got to pay attention to what you're doing a little bit, because you have this edge that's going to hang over the edge of the couch, and you want that to go on the part where these outer pieces are not going to attach. So you can see attachment holes on this side, and then on this side, on the one that I'm working on. So you want the overhang to go on the opposing sides, if that makes sense. So on this corner is where I'm going to start. And I'm going to Velcro this down. Then make my way to the other corner. So I've gone ahead and set up this piece, and what you want to make sure that you're doing is pulling everything nice and tight and getting your Velcro to adhere properly around the edges. And on these sides, that's where you want your Velcro to adhere. Okay, so what I have now is the piece that's going to go on top of this piece. I'm going to go ahead and lay that down. Open up the area here. There's a zipper on this, probably so you can wash it. I'm going to make sure that that's going face down, so you're not getting a zipper in the butt when you're on the couch. Go ahead and zip that up. And then you'll notice there's another zipper here that's only one-sided. And you're going to match that up to the zipper on the section here. And the way you're going to do that is whichever side the start of the zipper is, there will be a little metal tab on the zipper track at the end, and that's where you want to line those two up. And this is what I was talking about over here with the zipper. You see that you've got the start of the zipper track on the top part, and then the little metal stud on the bottom with the zipper track. You want to line those up together and then push that little track into the zipper and zip it up. I'm trying to keep my fingers out of the way, but I think you get the idea. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Okay, so what we've got up next, you have your longer pieces and your shorter pieces that are the threaded studs that are going to go into these two side pieces. According to the pictures on the instructions, the longer bolts go with the shorter piece and the shorter bolts go with the longer piece. And then you're just going to thread those in. If you tip this up on the side and you look at what's going on, you're going to have two different types of bolts. And the wood thickness is going to be different as well. So that's why you've got the longer studs on the shorter side, and then the shorter studs on the longer piece, if that makes sense, the longer section. So what's going to happen is, where you see the double sets of holes drilled, that's where your longer section is going to go, and that's going to go more towards the right when looking from this direction. So if you're looking from underneath, looking at this piece here, it's going to go on the far right set of holes, and it's going to have the shorter studs on it. Then your shorter piece is going to go where the wood is thicker. This is almost kind of like a 1.5 inch thick, butted up onto this, looks like OSB actually, but that's where that's going to go. And obviously you want that to go on the sides that doesn't have the fabric stretched over it. So my shorter side is going to go here. That's where the thicker beam is. That's where the single set of holes is. The longer section is going to go where it's got the double sets of holes, and it's going to have the shorter studs in it. Got that? So here's my longer section. I'm going to put it in a set of holes towards the right. So as you can see, two sets of holes, the right set of holes. Then I'm going to grab 4 washers, 4 nuts. I'm going to place a washer and a nut on each one of these studs that are sticking through. Here's where your little wrench-like tool is going to come into play, so you can tighten these nuts down. And these do not need to be super tight, but you want them to be good and snug, so when people lean back onto the furniture, it's not going to move around. Now we'll flip this up and do the same thing on the other side. So now this is where I'm going to get crafty and cheat and use a bit of power tool. What I am going to do is make sure I put this on a low setting though, so I'm not over torquing these bolts. Okay, so if you've made it this far, essentially you've got one section put together. I'm going to go ahead and start putting together some other sections, and then what I'm going to do is flip. I'm just going to put the legs on it the way they are right now. You've got your J brackets and these other brackets that were in the packaging as well. That's going to be if you're going to put sections together to make a longer couch. I'm going to do that later. What I'm going to do is assemble these sections here, just put the feet on the bottom, and then I'll flip everything up, join everything together, and just flip it back down. So that's how I'm going to approach this. So from here, I'm going to assemble one of the center pieces that only have one back instead of 2 sides like this. And then I'll go ahead and assemble everything else off camera and get it ready to join together. So just to kind of show you what you should be looking at with that section done, with all the pillows, that's what you should have. So this section is going to be just like the last one you put together, except there's only one side where you have to put it back on it. So now this part, what you have to do is identify what part needs to go to the back, which is going to be the one that doesn't have the stylized material, kind of like this middle section. That's going to go on the back, and then you're going to stretch everything else around the other sides. So I'm going to start here, make sure I get it centered. Get my Velcro on there. I'm going to work my way around the sides. So I'm starting with pulling this down around this edge, pulling the corner tight. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and just install the feet so I can work on this. But later, you're going to put bolts, and there's this little bracket that's going to clamp together to hold the parts together. If you're making this part of a longer section, which we are here. But again, for now, I'm just going to put the feet on it. And here we are, the next section is done. All right, YouTube, so I've assembled these two couch sections from IKEA, and what I'm gonna do is join the two of them together. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and poked a hole here in these middle holes. There's two sets, I don't think it really matters which one you put it in, but what I did was I took a flat bladed screwdriver and just kind of twisted it until I got a hole here in the actual fabric, and then I took the bolt and kind of enlarged it a bit by kind of sticking it through there and giving it a little bit of a twist until I could actually get the bolt in. Then I put it back in my J-hook through the fabric, put my washer on the back side, the nut on here. And then I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down. Actually, I don't think I'm going to tighten it quite yet. And the reason why I say that is because I want to be able to get these two together like that. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is use the provided clamps to kind of pull everything together so I can get my feet on here correctly, because you aren't going to actually use these feet if you're connecting the sections. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these. I just put these on here while I was assembling the individual pieces. But now that I'm getting ready to join them, let me go ahead and remove these. You're actually going to need these plastic washers for when you do this next step. So I'm going to hang on to those for a moment. Okay, so we've got our little J brackets installed here. What we're going to do is a couple of things. So I have this bracket because this is actually going to be L-shaped. So this is going to go over to the next couple of pieces. And what I'm going to do is one of your washers is going to go underneath here, and you're going to put one of your legs right there in the corner. So I'm going to go ahead and thread that in there, get that started at least. Alright, and if you probably, well, you'll be able to notice when you look at yours, you may or may not be able to get that started. If you can't, this thing comes with this nifty tool here, and I was looking at the instructions and thought this was something you leave in place after connecting all this stuff, but it's not, it's just a tool to help you compress this together. So you also want to make sure that this is aligned along this axis, but that's going to help you compress everything right here so you can get your bolts in. And what bolts you're going to use are these little bolts here. Put a washer on it, put this plastic washer underneath, and thread that in. And you're going to do that on the bottom as well. You're going to use this little bracket here with two of your plastic washers, two bolts, two washers there as well. And if you need to use your little compression tool down here on the bottom, you can use another one down there on the bottom. I'm going to see if this fits it. See if I can at least get it started. Okay. So now that I have it started, I'm going to snug it up just a little. I'm not going to tighten it all the way. But what I am going to do is go ahead and tighten these bolts to kind of pull everything in here. You see how that pulled together when I did that? So that's pulling everything in nice and tight. And then now that that's nice and snug, I'm going to go ahead and snug this bolt down. Snug down this, and snug down these two bolts. Now you might be thinking, hey, how am I going to put a leg on there? Well, that's actually pretty simple too. So I'm going to take a pair of pliers here, grab that threaded bar, get that out. See, that's threading right out. I'm going to put that, thread that in right here. So now this section is bolted together. I'm going to tip it over and tip it up this way so I can do what I need to do going this direction. So this was my crazy solution for doing the next two sections and making an L shape. out of this. So looks a little crazy, but it's gonna work. So it's not crazy if it works, right? So to prepare this next section, we need to remove the feet just as we did before. Get those out of the way. Go ahead and pull this forward a little bit and get our hooks to engage if we can. Yes, look at that. Fantastic. Just go ahead and try to snug these up a bit. Let's see if I can use our clamp to get just a little bit more. I want that to be nice, good and snug there for that connection. Look at that, we are able to pull it in a little further by using that method. So we're going to pull those in nice and tight using my clamps. Here we've got another, wait, we're not using a leg there, we're using a bolt. So here we go, let's get our bolt in. Going to attach our leg here. And I think you get the idea from here. I will go ahead and leave you with that, YouTube. I thank you very much for watching. Make sure you check out the rest of my channel. Hope this helps you out of putting your sofa together. But those are the basics. You can continue doing that on down the couch for however many sections you have. So that is it. Thank you again, YouTube. I appreciate it. Everyone, if you enjoyed today's video, I would invite you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below right there on the right-hand corner. And if you felt that the products in today's video is something you might like to own yourself, there's a product link right up there to the right, upper right-hand corner, or down in the description will be a product link for you to purchase the product as well. Thank you very much for watching, YouTube.